So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Just the purpose of this morning's webinar is to give you all a brief overview of lease options, what they are, who they're good for, and just the basic mechanics. And then I'm also, with your permission, if everybody's okay with it, I will be talking about my masterclass towards the end of this webinar, which I will be hosting February 6th. Somebody is joining in the waiting room. Hello, somebody just joined. I'm not sure who it is. I can't see your name, but welcome. Go ahead and put your name and where you're from in the chat window for me. Hello. Does anybody know how to operate?
There she goes, Cheryl Willis from Phoenix.
Hey, Cheryl. Welcome. Welcome. Good to see you in here. Thanks for dropping in. So as I was mentioning earlier, I'm coming to you from my phone this morning because my laptop will not connect to the internet for some reason. I am in Portugal at the moment, which is about 5 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. I think you guys are still at what, 9 a.m. Phoenix time. Anyway, that's good. Today we are going to talk about lease options, what they are, who the heck they're good for, what's the catch, why you would want to work with lease options in your real estate business, or possibly even do a lease option for yourself. And then at the end of this webinar, I will be discussing my masterclass very briefly, which I have on February 6th. Starting at 7 a.m. PST. So save the date, put it on your calendars. I'll make sure everybody gets a link with information to that masterclass. But for now, how many of you here in the chat, drop a comment in the chat below. How many of you know what a lease option is, or AKA rent to own, or you're like, what the heck is this? And that's why I'm here.
I just wanted to say hi. I don't mean to be rude that I'm not that I wasn't on video. I'm sick, but I didn't want to miss your class here.
Oh, so I hope you feel better.
Me too. But I'm going to go back in hiatus. But I just wanted to say hi.
Hey, I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to try and navigate this. You have a very Kelly says I have a very vague idea. Okay, that's good to know. So the basics of a lease option, most people might call it a rent to own. The basics are you are going to rent a home for a pre-specified period of time, and then you have the opportunity to buy it at a preset moment in time for a preset price. Those are the basics. There are a lot of sort of unsavory and scammy sort of rent to own, like landlords out there. The basics of a lease option are you're going to just put a small security deposit up front. You're going to be pre-qualified for a preset amount of rent, which is going to be based off your gross monthly income. So to give you an example, let's say that your household is making $10,000 a month before taxes. That would pre-qualify. Oh, sorry, go ahead. That would pre-qualify you for a maximum amount of rent of, let's say, up to $3,400 a month. But you say, hey, Jalen, I really want to keep it under $2,200 a month. I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in zip code 85003. I'm just saying that because I live in downtown Phoenix and that's my zip code. So we will set you up on a specific set of homes that fit your budget and your criteria. We're going to take you out to physically tour those homes. You're going to let us know which home you would like to rent for the next year or longer. You can rent the home as long as you like. Your rent is going to be locked in for a minimum of 5 years. Unless you're in Texas, it's 3 years. And then so essentially you can rent the home as long as you like. And then conversely, you can exercise your option, your opportunity to purchase that home literally anytime after you move in. You don't need to wait a year or 2 years or 3 years, literally anytime after 30 days. If you love the house, you love the neighbors, you love the neighborhood, you can put in your notice of your option to buy that home and you can start the process there. Now, legitimate lease option companies, they will require just a small security deposit, which you do get back either at the end of your lease, just like any other rental. If you decide to move out, you're like, you know what, this isn't the home for me, I don't want to buy it, that's fine, that's cool. You can put in your notice, move out, you do get that security deposit back. So zero obligation, zero penalty. Conversely, if you're like, oh my gosh, I love this house, it's amazing, your security deposit does go towards your purchase, towards your closing costs. So you are not going to be out any money whatsoever. So now there are some other rent to own landlords or individuals out there who offer a lease option. And typically what you're going to find with individuals, they are going to require a large option deposit up front to the tune of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, whatever the case may be. And if you decide not to purchase the home at the end of your lease, in your option window, guess what? You do not get that deposit back. So I really encourage people to shy away from, those individual type of lease options. I've heard so many horror stories of clients that have reached out to me saying, oh my gosh, I'm in a lease option right now. The landlord is, my option period is up. We're literally at the end of our 2-year period. We're able to buy the home for $110,000. The home is worth closer to $360,000. We're just not able to get our financing together. The landlord is not willing to extend my option, so they're out like $10,000, and they have to move out of the house because they can't afford to buy it at what it's worth currently for the market rate. So a lot of questions that I get are, okay, well, what if the market crashes and the home's not worth nearly what my option price is? It's a very good question I get. I'm going to answer that in both ways. So I'm going to give you a real life story. Actually, my husband and I took advantage of a lease option with one of our companies that we work with, and I will go over all of the 4 companies that I personally represent in the Valley, in the Phoenix metro area. And then we can kind of go over some other particulars of those. But basically, a real life example, my husband and I are actual clients of one of the companies we work with. They purchased our home that we were pre-qualified to rent about 2 years ago. They paid $350,000 for it. Our option price at that point in time, which we knew up front before we even signed our lease, we knew what we were going to be able to buy that home for before the end of year 1, years 2, 3, 4, and 5. So they bought it for $350,000. Our option price at that point in time was $367,400. And when we exercised our option, we did wait 1 year to buy the home. We didn't buy it immediately. We just had some other things going on. But when we bought the home, and by the way, you can use whatever lender you want to, whatever loan program you qualify for. We don't care. It doesn't really matter. You can use FHA, conventional, VA. If you have a rich uncle that wants to pay cash for the home and buy you out, that's totally fine. It doesn't really matter. So, but anyway, when we bought the home, the appraisal came in at $538,000, and our option price was $367,400. So we had over $170,000 in equity just from renting. And by the way, we didn't actually make our rental payment ourselves. We had somebody else making the rental payment for us. So we were literally out zero money on our lease option, and we had $170,000 in equity. So I always encourage people, realtors in particular, this is not just for you to work in your business and to help renters get into homes. You can utilize this for yourself, for you and your family, to get into a lease option home. And hopefully you'll be in a similar upside position. Now, conversely, let's say that when we went to go purchase that home, it was only worth, let's say, $350,000 or $325,000. Our option price was still going to be $367,400 at that period of time. So we could have made the determination, yeah, let's come up with the extra money. We really, really love it. We want to buy the home. We don't care. We have the extra cash. We can make the determination to go ahead and buy that home. Conversely, since there's no obligation and zero penalty, we can walk away at the end of our lease, put in our notice, get that security deposit back, which was around $3,100 off the top of my head. And so we can go buy a house down the street that's maybe $25,000 less than what our option price is on this house. So there's literally zero risk. There's no downside. And if you're going to be renting a home anyway, why not rent with purpose, rent with the option to be able to actually buy that home, right? So I'm going to take a brief moment and pause. Does anybody have any questions based on what I've just said? Go ahead and raise your hand. Yes, Quavi, please unmute yourself. What is your question?
Okay, so my question is, you said you got someone else to pay the rent while you were there. Explain that process.
So basically what we did a leasing arbitrage. We had a preset amount of rent. Our rent at that point in time was $2,100 a month, cute little 3-bedroom, 1,800 square feet, 2-bath, single story. We completely remodeled it, by the way, but we subleased our property out. We had it listed on Furnished Finder, which is a site that's really good, especially for travel nurses, if they need a place to stay for 3 to 4 months at a time. Really, really good tenants, finding people on Furnished Finder, Airbnb, VRBO. So we had people, basically renting our house for short stints, 2-3 months at a time, sometimes 5 months at a time. And because we had other properties in Phoenix, we were renting our place out and making a little bit of extra money on the side. And by the time that we went to buy the home, we literally had made maybe 1 month's rent payment the entire year that we were renting the home. And so we bought it. And so our payment when we bought the home, it went from $2,100 a month in rent, and our mortgage payment went down to $1,850 a month. So we were in just such a great equity position. It's always a great idea when you can use other people's money, have somebody else pay your rent, right? So you're literally out of pocket, zero money, unless, not accounting for the furniture that you're putting into the house and linens and things like that you would normally put into an Airbnb house. Does that answer your question, Quavi?
Yeah, so that answers my question. So I guess you could use this if you just wanted to do rentals. You don't have to be the person physically in that building, basically, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there kind of promoting this sort of leasing arbitrage where you're leasing a property and then you're releasing it out to somebody else. So that's very popular these days. As long as the numbers make sense, because you do have to factor in things like your monthly payment, the utilities, and you have to make sure that the amount of rent that you're getting is actually covering all of that, and you're making a little bit of profit as well. Hopefully you're making a profit. But my husband and I, we were looking at it more or less as an investment. We didn't really care if we were losing a couple $100 a month, because we knew that we were controlling a $500,000 asset with literally no money out of our pocket. So that was really cool.
And you ended up purchasing it anyway, right?
Yes, exactly.
Do you anticipate, Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, great. Do you anticipate with the market, first of all, with rents going up so high, the, oversaturation of rentals, and also just the market not going up as much, do you anticipate the same type of success over the next couple of years?
So what I'm anticipating, the market is a little bit unstable. Let's just use that word here in the Phoenix metro area right now. So none of us have a crystal ball, right? But experts are predicting that the market is going to continue to go up a little bit more before it goes down. So they're predicting by the end of third quarter, interest rates should be a little bit lower. Hopefully the decline in appreciation in the Phoenix will, slow down considerably, but people are always going to need a place to rent. So will it be oversaturated? I don't think so. With all of the development in the valley and people that are still wanting to move here, By the way, Arizona is one of the top 5 states in the entire United States that people are still moving to. So no, I don't anticipate that the market's going to be oversaturated. You know, we do need to be very mindful of the monthly rent and what that's going to look like. Most of the companies that I work with, they do have what's called, you know, market rate rents. If you're comparing the same home that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet, compared to a listing next door that's listed by Zillow, Open Door, Redfin, whatever, it's going to be pretty much right in line with what you would see out there in the normal rental market. Did I answer your question, Sherry?
Cheryl, no, not
Cheryl?
yet, but I'm thinking that maybe with as we proceed, you'll answer some questions, because again, what you've talked about has been, I mean, a lot of people have made a lot of money over the last 3 years. This last part of last 2022 it was a pivotal year. It's going to completely change. We're going to, at best, return to a normal market. And I know everybody's like, what's normal? I have a YouTube channel, so I talk about this kind of stuff all the time too, by the way. So I'm very familiar with the market. What I'm just saying is, some of the opportunities that you've spoken of was very unique to the last few years, that you could rent this place for 1,800 and then turn around and rent it for 2,100. So maybe you're going to show me where you can get below market rents, and you could do that. And then at the same time too, you're also talking a market that we made more appreciation than literally probably the history of real estate, right? Over the last, if you've owned your home 5 years, you've made 76% appreciation. Even though we've lost a little off that top over the last 12 months, you still have made a killing. That's going to change. We're going to see that moderate, 2 to 5% per year. So I'm going to let you finish, because maybe you're going to answer those questions, because again, with the market high rents and the normal I'm not going to call it a negative appreciation. We're still going to appreciate. You're right, the fastest growing county in America. We're still in high demand. We have jobs. I can go on, and we still have a shortage of inventory. But and with interest rates even higher than before, people can't qualify right now, but maybe they can qualify for later. So maybe you'll answer those questions for me.
I sure hope so. And I would love to sit in and go to your YouTube channel and listen to some of your videos, by the way. It sounds like you're extremely knowledgeable about the market and real estate. So yeah, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon for sure. But so the good thing about, a lot of the companies that we work with, they are paying cash for the property, and they're getting it right now for about anywhere from a 10 to 15% discount. So somebody that's looking to rent, and maybe they're not sure about the market, they're waiting for interest rates to come down, or they just don't want to shell out that down payment, put down that 3.5%, that 20%, whatever the case may be, because the company that we're working with, they're getting the home for a discount, their back end right to purchase price is going to be lower than what they would be able to purchase it for right now. And because the rents are market rate rents and they're renting anyway, this really gives them the opportunity to kind of, try and see what's going on with the market. And if the market continues to, kind of stabilize and they're in a good equity position, they can go ahead and pull the trigger and buy that home, right? Conversely, because they're not obligated, they can walk away from that home. But let's talk about why. Sorry?
I said sorry. I didn't know if you could hear that.
Oh, no worries. So let's talk about why somebody would want to do a lease option. Like, who would this be good for? Let's start there. So there are a lot of buyers out there right now that they may not qualify for a traditional mortgage because maybe they just had a recent bankruptcy event. Let's say that they just had a Chapter 7 bankruptcy or Chapter 13 that was discharged just, let's say, 2 months ago. Lenders are not going to touch them with a 10-foot pole unless they have at least 2 years seasoning for an FHA loan or 4 years seasoning for a conventional loan. So doing a lease option is a really great way to get them into a home now, because we require 24 hours of seasoning, not even. As long as the BK is discharged at least one day, we can help that person get into a home. as long as they meet the credit score requirement, which is typically about 600 to 620 on TransUnion, by the way. We do have a company that we work with that goes down as low as 550 on Experian. And again, I will talk about all of the different companies and kind of the differences. So that's one reason why somebody might want to get into a lease option home. Another type person that a lease option would be perfect for, let's say that they have really super creative type income. They don't have the traditional W-2 tax returns, pay stubs every 2 weeks. They get paid, they're working jobs like they're getting paid cash under the table. They have a lot of cash deposits. Maybe they're a server, they're making a lot of tips, they're depositing those tips into their bank account. So they're not going to necessarily have a large pay stub to show. And because they have like multiple jobs and maybe they just started a new job 2 months ago, they're not going to have that traditional 2 years of income history needed that most lenders will require. So we can work with all of those different types of incomes. We can look at their bank statements. We can look at their different pay stubs that they have, their 1099s. We can culminate all of that to qualify them to get into a lease option home. Another person that it would be great for, and I touched on this briefly, somebody who just doesn't want to shell out their cash right now because they're so unsure about what the market's going to do. Like, why would anybody want to shell out $20,000, $50,000 for their down payment if they're, unsure of the market, or if they're really unsure if they want to buy a house right now or not? And so this gives them the opportunity to get into a home for anywhere from a 1 month security deposit to a 1.5 month security deposit. And because there's no obligation and no penalty, get into the home, rent it for a while, and then they can make the determination if they want to buy it or not. And because they're going to be renting anyway, like I said, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. Why not rent with purpose, right? So another great person that a lease option would be good for, somebody who's relocating to the area and they're just not sure, about the different neighborhoods where they want to live. They know that they're going to be renting for at least a year. So get them into that rental home with the option, if they want to stay, they can buy the home, or they can continue to rent it for a period of time. So does that kind of help elaborate on that question that you had earlier, Cheryl? Trying to get to my chat window here.
I've heard you mention an investor you're working with. So that was gonna, like, where are you getting these properties below market value, getting them below market rent? That you haven't touched on, but that's where we're going, clearly. Yeah.
Okay. So the properties, where they're coming from, that's a great question, by the way. So any property that is advertised for sale, whether it's on the MLS, if it's a for sale by owner, on Zillow, wherever it's advertised, we don't care. That's a possible home that we would be able to purchase for our tenant to rent the home. So let me just cover briefly the 4 companies that I do represent and work with here in the Valley. And a lot of them are, nationwide. They're in multiple states. So my top and favorite company that I work with, and you've probably heard of a lot of these, Cheryl, the first one I love to work with is Home Partners of America. I call them HPA. So they are a cash buyer. They do close in 3 weeks, and then the resident gets to move in a couple of weeks later. Their rents are market rate rents. Their option price is 5.5% above their cost. So that does go up a little bit each year. So let's say that Home Partners was able to purchase a home for somebody for $400,000. That resident's right to purchase price on the back end would be roughly, what is that, $425,000, something like that ish. And it does go up a little bit each year. They do have the opportunity, the resident has the opportunity to purchase the home up until the end of year 5. At the end of year 5, they do lose the option to purchase that home, but they can continue to rent it as long as they like. The monthly rent does go up a little bit each year. It's 3.75% to be exact. So, but they will know upfront what that rent is going to be years 1 through 5. It's locked in for a minimum of 5 years. So that really gives the renter a lot of assurance, knowing that We're not going to sell the house out from underneath them. They're locked in for 5 years. We're not going to raise the rent arbitrarily by $200 or $300. Like I've heard horror stories from other people calling their landlords are raising their rent like crazy. We're not going to do that. So really, really great company to work with. So that's Home Partners. By the way, I am the #1 agent for Home Partners of America in the nation. And I've been awarded a trip, the 22 and 22 trip down in Hotel del Coronado, January 31st through February 2nd. So I'll be going out to California for that. So super excited. Yay! So that's Home Partners. The second favorite company that I work with is a company called Pathway. And they are pretty much new to the Valley. They've been around for about, I want to say 2 years. Babe, you can correct me if I'm wrong. My husband's on here, Kelly. So Pathway is very, very similar to Home Partners. They have a little bit lower credit score requirement. They require a 600 credit score on TransUnion versus 620 on TransUnion with Home Partners. The cool thing about Pathway is #1, they just have a 1-month security deposit requirement versus Home Partners is a 1.5-month security deposit. Pathway will go in and purchase a home. They don't have any neighborhood restrictions per se, like Home Partners does. Home Partners, they will only purchase homes in approved high school areas. Pathway, as long as it's in the major metro area in Maricopa County, Pinal County, and it varies, of course, according to where your market is. I know, Quavi, you're in Atlanta. Pathway and Home Partners are both huge in that market as well, by the way. But Pathway, they will go into a home and they will completely renovate it for you. So if it needs brand new flooring, brand new countertops, fresh paint, fresh carpet. So when you move into that home, it's going to be pretty much looking like a brand new home. There's going to be pretty much no maintenance that will need to be done to it. And so I love that about Pathway because you get like a nice, fresh, brand new home essentially that you're moving into. So really cool stuff. Pathway is also coming in with their offers in this current market at a discount as well. Pretty much all investors that I'm working with and that I've heard about, they're coming in, anywhere from 10 to 20% below list right now. And, not all sellers are biting, of course, because a lot of sellers
ask that. Yeah, because I've received these offers on my listings and they've been gregariously low. It's like embarrassing to even present. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. And keep in mind that the investors, they are very mindful of making sure that the resident is able to actually purchase that home back when they're ready and that the appraisal will come in. So that's one of the reasons why they are coming in considerably lower. And it does depend on the home. Now, I will tell you that once you get in with these companies and you start closing deals and you start building relationships with the people that are higher up, whatever the people are, your direct reps that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, they will take what you have to say into consideration on the offer. If you say, hey, you know what, this one just popped on the market, it's completely upgraded, it's priced to sell, this is our 3rd submission for this resident. The seller has 3 offers in hand at, list price. They will listen to you as the agent and they will come in accordingly. Now, because they are paying cash, they're like, well, of course, we're going to try and get it for a little bit of a discount because it's, in my history of working with Home Partners for the past 6 years, we've always closed on time, every time, like 0 hiccups. The only property that we've ever pulled out of was a home down in Santan Valley. And it was just a complete freaking nightmare. It had like electrical damage issues. I mean, it just would not have passed a normal FHA inspection. So we walked from that house, but all of the other homes that I have purchased on the behalf of Home Partners or helped them purchase, I should say, it's been a really, really easy, smooth transaction. I love working with them as a realtor agent. So there's briefly Home Partners and Pathway. My third favorite company I work with is a company called Divvy. Now, Divvy is truly geared more towards people who do want to purchase that home. It's geared towards making sure that they can achieve that home ownership. Now, Divvy compared to Home Partners and Pathway, where you are not out that security deposit, if you decide not to buy the home, you do get your deposit back. Divvy, on the other hand, that deposit that you put up front, you do not get that back in the event that you decide not to buy the home. Now, they do have varying degrees of deposits depending on your credit score. They will go down as low as a 550 credit score on Experian with a 2% deposit. That's 2% of the purchase price. So, whatever that purchase price is. Conversely, if you have a 650 or better credit score, you might not have to put down any deposit. They also have a forced savings where if you are a little bit lower on the credit score, they do basically, I hate to use the word forced, but they do make you save. They call it a 10% savings. So they basically take 10% of that purchase price and they divide it by 36 months to add on to your monthly payment. So you have your rent and then you have your forced savings bucket. So that forced savings bucket, you do get that back at the end of your lease period if you decide not to buy the home. So you do not lose that money, but the initial deposit, you would lose that in the event you decide not to buy the home. So that's Divvy. I love Divvy because they close really fast. They close in 2 weeks. They're paying cash as well, and they're coming in low, just like the other investors we're working with right now. But the resident gets to move in immediately. So if you are dealing with somebody who needs to move quickly, and the seller is, somewhat motivated to sell, Divvy is a great option for them. Now, speaking of Divvy, because they are forcing that resident to have that forced savings bucket on the side, somebody who is a little bit more payment sensitive, meaning that, hey, I really don't want to spend more than $2,500 a month on my rent and they don't want to have that forced savings, Divvy might not be a good option for them because their monthly payment is going to be roughly 25% higher than the other investors we're working with compared to Home Partners and Pathway. So any questions on those particulars before I move on to the next company? Nope. Okay. So the last company I'm going to talk about briefly is a company called Trio, Trio. Now, Trio is really kind of a unique animal. They have their own in-house FHA loan. You can literally look it up, look up the Trio FHA loan. So instead of paying cash, Trio is going to use their own in-house loan, and they do work with their preferred in-house lender is called Land Home Financial. So basically the way Trio works is, and this is kind of cool, as a realtor, you get to represent the lease option buyer. So whoever your clients are, let's say they're Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you are writing a purchase contract on the behalf of the resident, essentially. You're going to do all the negotiating between you and your residents, between the tenants and the seller. And then once you get everything finalized, then you're going to hand it over to Trio, and there's an assignment addendum. So they're basically going to take over that purchase, use their in-house FHA loan to purchase that property via the assignment. The resident just needs to put a 1% deposit up front. Plus, there's like a small underwriting fee and processing fee. So to get into a Trio home, you're looking at roughly a 1.5% deposit of the purchase price. Now, Trio is a really great option for somebody who maybe wants to buy a house that's a little bit more out there, a little bit more rural, because it's considered not to be within the major metro area, like would be, required by by Pathway and Home Partners and Divvy. Trio is like wherever you want to live, we don't care as long as it's at least within 50 miles of a major metro market. So somebody who's looking for maybe a little bit more acreage, Trio would be a really good option for them. Now, the other really cool thing about Trio is because they are using an FHA loan to purchase the property, they have an assumption on that loan. You can assume that loan. So basically, while you're paying rent, a portion of that payment pays down that FHA loan balance. So because we are savvy investors, my husband and I, we also used Trio to get a home for us in downtown Phoenix in the FQ Historic District, which is adorable little 2-bedroom house. Trio bought us that house for $325,000 2 years ago. We've been paying a lease payment of $2,500 a month, basically. Now, the payment amount with Trio, it's going to be very extremely similar to what your FHA mortgage payment would be on that home had you bought it with 3.5% down. So keep that in mind. So it's going to go based off today's current interest rates, and they're going to go off whatever your respective county's FHA loan limit is. I forget the exact number in the Valley right now. I want to say it's like $562,000 for the FHA loan limits. Cheryl, you probably can chime in on that one. But anyway, so we've been paying down a little bit of the FHA loan balance on our home in downtown Phoenix. They bought it for $325,000. We are assuming the loan, and I believe our assumption price right now is $319,000. So versus if we didn't assume the loan, let's just say that we exercised our option price right now is $352,000. We could do that if we don't qualify to assume the loan for whatever reason. On that note, I've been putting myself in a position over the last 2 years. I've been paying myself W-2, so I'm getting a paycheck every month, 2 paychecks, and I have my tax return. So I should be able to qualify to assume that loan. And the interest rate on that loan, by the way, is only 4% versus right now I would probably have to pay closer to 7% had I purchased that home today using an FHA loan. So that's the really cool thing about Trio. Any questions on that?
I do have a question, but it
Go
was
ahead,
about
Claudia.
something. Okay, great. I did have a question, but it was about something you said before. You mentioned that Arizona is one of the, Phoenix really is one of the cities, the 5. What are the other 4?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe my husband can jump in on it. Kelly, do you remember the other cities that were like the cities? Are you there? Okay, he's not there. Gosh, you know what? I'm like racking my brain. I'll have to get back to you on that one. All I
Yeah,
remember,
you can get back to me.
I saw
That's fine.
Arizona. I was like, ooh, Phoenix, top 5. I think one of them is a city in California, and one of them is maybe a city in Texas. I can't remember which one. But like they were like bigger metro areas. You know what I mean? Okay. Any other questions, you guys?
Is there any
Okay.
do you have to get kind of pre-certified as a realtor to work with these companies?
Yes. So I would highly recommend go in and Google all of these companies, go to homepartnersofamerica.com, go to divvy.com, go to Pathway, and go to Trio, and just kind of at the very least go in there and register and look at the FAQs. There is a bunch of agent training in there. I would highly encourage you to go ahead and do that. Now, you might ask, or I actually wanted to cover something real quick on this webinar, like how do you find the leads? Like where do they come from? So where we have found the majority of our leads have been on Craigslist, believe it or not. So we'll post a home advertised for rent with a move-in date of approximately 45 days out. And we show, beautiful pictures of this home available. And of course, by all means, you always want to get the listing agent's permission to use their photos and, explain to them what you're doing before you just post it on there, because that could get you into trouble from realtors out there who have literally nothing better to do other than to spy on people on Craigslist and
Right.
report them. So, so heads up for that. So we have a lot of people calling us off our ads off Craigslist saying, hey, is the home still available? Well, yes, it is. How soon do you need to move? And just kind of pre-qualify them, right? Ask them, get into questions about their situation. Ask them, you know, do you happen to know what your credit score is on TransUnion right now? And is it just you going on the application? How many other people would be going on the application to qualify, and just kind of vet them before you send them to the website to apply to get qualified. So now, fortunately, because my husband and I have been on ABC TV several times talking about our lease option programs, rent to own programs, we have a bunch of collateral to share with people, which has been extremely helpful, because there are a lot of people that are leery of, you know, rent to own scams out there. You know, a lot of them think, oh, this is too good to be true. What's the catch? I'm like, it's the real deal. You know, check out these videos. We are real life clients of the company. We also send them a bunch of testimonial videos. So I have like so many ways of how you can find leads, and I'm not sure I have time to cover it here in this webinar. I'm trying to find, Chris, could you send me that thing again for the masterclass? I wanted to go over that with you guys real quick. But basically, I don't have it in front of me.
I sent it via Slack.
Thank you very much. And again, I'm working on my phone, so I'm a little bit challenged right now. I do apologize.
I hope you're
Is it a
enjoying
direct
Portugal.
message? Sorry, what?
I said, I hope you are enjoying Portugal.
Oh, it's been amazing. Like it's been so nice. We spent 2 weeks in Lisbon and then went to Porto for 2 weeks. And then we're back in Lisbon tonight, spending the night. We fly back to the States first thing in the morning.
Wonderful.
I'm super excited about it. So wonderful. Hey, Chris, could you let me know what channel you sent that thing in on my Slack? I can't find it.
Kingdom Sales.
Thank you. Okay, so if I have everybody's permission, which I think I do, most of you, I'm going to talk about what we're going to cover in my upcoming masterclass, which is on February 6th, starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And whoever's interested, let me know, drop a comment in the chat window below. I will send you a link to sign up for that. It is $397 for the masterclass. It's going to be about a 3 to 4 hour class. And here's what we're going to cover. So the first thing we're going to cover are the basics of any legit right to purchase program. What is the norm and the perception? We're also going to cover qualifying factors for tenants. Who are the big players and how do they differ? I'm going to have a summary sheet of all 4 companies that I work with, and kind of a quick quick cheat sheet per se of, you know, qualifications, where they buy homes, who is it good for, who is it not good for. We're also going to go over all of the lead sources that I utilize when talking to leads. I know we talked about Craigslist today. We're going to also cover scripting. I'm going to provide you with scripts on how to talk to people, objections to handle, you know, what they say, what to say back to them. We're also going to go over the application process from A to Z for each company, getting them to apply and getting them set up for success quickly. What you want is to get them to apply and get that approval as soon as possible so you can get them out shopping. So best practices for that. We're also going to cover, you know, actually going home shopping, the property disqualifiers based on market conditions, you know, how you need to talk to the listing agent, how you need to talk to the respective company that you're working with. We're also going to go over in detail how to actually submit the home to this respective company and what to say and what you're going to need to do to get the offer going, to get a good offer price that you'll be able to extend to the listing agent. We're also going to go over resident expectations. Hey, Chris, could you do me a favor? Could you drop those images into the chat window so everybody could see exactly what we're going to cover? Because I know it's a lot to try and remember, just me rattling them off.
Is this in person or is it online? How are you doing that?
It's going to be online. It's going to be
Okay.
via Zoom. And yes.
How long?
Okay. And then
Sorry.
it's going to be approximately 3 hours. I'm going to
Okay.
try and cover each item approximately 15 to 20 minutes for each item.
Okay.
The last 3 things we're going to cover in the masterclass, we're going to go over presenting and or extending the offer to the listing agent, what you're going to want to say to get them to fall in love with you and fall in love with the offer and to accept it. We're also going to go over resident expectations, how to turn customers into raving fans and grow your customer base through referrals. That's going to be a huge one. And then also we're going to go over closing day and expectations, what to expect not only for yourself and for the seller, but also for the resident, and talk about the make ready period and what all goes on after closing day. Yeah, I'm super excited for the masterclass and I would love to see you there. Chris or April, can you please put the link to that in the chat box? Thank you. I cannot see a thing. I apologize. I appreciate you guys helping me out here.
That's what the
All right,
problem
you guys.
is. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for your time today. I really appreciate it. And this is my first time doing this webinar outside of the EXP University world. So I really appreciate you all. And are there any further questions before I say sayonara?
Sayonara. You'll be back later this week, you said.
Yes, we'll be back. We're going to be in California the 31st through the 2nd, and then we're heading down to Mexico for a month. Yes.
Wow.
Well, only because, yeah, we have all of our places rented out in Phoenix, so we figured, well, since we need a place to stay, we might as well go someplace fun, right?
Oh, wow. That's such a great idea. Yeah. When are you coming back to Phoenix?
So we will be back in Phoenix on March 3rd. That's when our resident is moving out of our house up in Anthem, is on March 3rd. So we'll go back up there for a while. And then our downtown Phoenix condo, our resident is moving out March 16th, I believe. So we'll probably re-rent our Anthem house out and then move into our condo downtown.
I'm kind of anal about this. If you have one document that has everything as opposed to 4 different pages with kind of, do you have like one like flyer sheet?
Yes, I can get that drawn up for you and email that over to you. No problem whatsoever.
I think somebody else Quavi requested.
Yeah, because
there's no times. Yeah, so maybe
I
more
clicked on it. I didn't see. I saw content, but not date, time. So maybe I'm missing something.
We'll get all this drawn up for you guys
Yay.
and sent over to you. Like I literally just decided to put on this webinar like 2 days ago, and so
you did.
Love it.
Thank you. Sometimes you just gotta like
taking action. That's it.
Yep. Figure it out while you're doing it, right?
Yeah. There's my email. I just sent it. Yeah, maybe if you could send that out. I'm thinking I might have one of my agents attend your training, your masterclass. Yeah, I have a team.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Cheryl.
You bet.
All right. So Chris or April, can you make sure and send that out to Quavi and Cheryl, please, if you don't mind?
Yep.
Quavi, where are you located?
Atlanta.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And who else is
Quavi? Go ahead.
I was just asking who else was on the call here that wasn't on your team. We have Quavi from Atlanta. There's a gentleman space on there. Is that your husband?
Just you. Yeah, that's my husband, Kelly.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly's your husband.
Sure.
Okay. Got it.
We weren't sure how many people were going to show up today because it was such last minute. So I'm glad you're here, Cheryl and Quavi. And Chris and April.
Yeah, just imagine if you had like marketed it, like really, like, I mean, I saw it
2 days. Like, wow.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not feeling well, but I'm like, I am going to, you can't see me while I'm talking, but I was like, I'm going to get out of bed and I am going to go sit in front of my computer. Oh my God, I look terrible.
So you look fine.
You look great.
You do. You look fine.
It's
You don't
not
look
that
sick.
I don't want to share my YouTube. So just, I would love to talk to you when you get back to Phoenix. If you don't have a YouTube channel, that might be an amazing lead generator for you. Like for when you talk about where to get the leads from, I know exactly where I'm going to get my leads from. I think that's great that Craigslist is, that's what I want to pass on to my agent, because I feed my agents. I don't give them cold, warm. I give them hot, like literally. The buyer wants to go look at homes tomorrow. Here's where you're meeting them. Like those are the leads I give.
Wow, that's great.
But I love the Craigslist. Like I want to teach them how to fish, not just eat.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, that's great.
I love what you have, and at the same time, if you're not doing YouTube, you could just blow this out of the water if you used YouTube. And that's the only, Kelly asked me what my channel was. If you give your channel, this is the number one failure. Don't give your link out to people that you know, because YouTube knows that you know them. And so if they're in local, like mine is all about relocating to Phoenix. So if people are watching it in Phoenix, it takes my algorithm down. So that means I get they're my friends. Yeah. You want everything to be organic.
So I do have a YouTube channel and it's fabulous. Chris.
Oh, great.
Yes. Chris, would you put in the link to my YouTube channel for everybody? Because it's really great the way that Chris does all of my, what do you call them? Thumbnails and graphics and things. They're awesome. So fun.
Yeah. How many subscribers do you have?
I think I'm up to 101, something like that.
Good. That's great. You're right, 100. Yes.
We're now we're now 113 when we started doing YouTube Shorts.
Oh, nice. I love it.
Of another EXPer, Jesse Dow and Jackson Wilkie. Have you heard of them? They're icons.
Gosh, that name sounds familiar.
Okay. They're my channel partners. Yeah. Well, I'd love to. Again, I'll be glad to share some secrets with you. I just broke 5,000 subscribers. I did over 50 million 2 years ago. Last year we did 38 million, all from YouTube.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, please do share. We'll have to set up some time for sure when you're feeling better.
I love that. Yes, I was just
I'd love to pick your brain.
Phoenix too, shooting some B-roll. Oh my God, I love it down there. Love it down there.
It's amazing. We'll have to invite you up to our rooftop. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, please do. Yes, I will look different.
Yeah,
yeah. Let's stay
in contact. Stop it.
Oh, I feel that. All right.
Hey, by the way, Cheryl, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
58 in 2 weeks.
You should go on Quavi's 50 Shades of Over 50.
You have to come. You really have to, because I have a show on YouTube called 50 Shades of Over 50, where I interview women in their 50s and over to share inspiring stories, because a lot of women in that age group feel like their life is over and there's nothing left for them. And so hearing inspiring stories from other women just helps to inspire them. I mean, I've inspired. I mean, seriously.
My email's in the chat if you want to shoot me an email.
Let me. Yes.
Yeah, I would be glad to.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yes.
So
I didn't see yours, Cheryl. You probably did it private. I don't see yours, Cheryl.
No, I'll do it again right now.
Thank you.
So Cheryl, I met Quavi at the Great American Speak Off. We were both there. We were both semifinalists for Grant Cardone's TV pilot in Miami. And I saw her in the hotel lobby and she just looked so fabulous. I was like, oh, I need to go over and talk to her.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I don't do any public speaking at this point anyways. Like I have taught classes for the last couple of years. Again, it was a different product, but anyways, I did teach some classes, but I don't do any of the motivational thingies yet. See,
I like that.
I still love real estate. Like I'm still so into real estate and working with clients and developing leads, and that I'm like, I don't have room for one more thing. So.
Cool. And what's the name of your YouTube channel, Cheryl? What's it called?
Yeah, since you're not in Phoenix, well,
I'm
here, I'll put it on-
exactly. I'm in
Well, I
Atlanta.
was just gonna say, here's the only thing I would suggest, I would ask of you, please. If you watch a
Yes.
video, watch it in its entirety.
I know. Listen, I'm trying to build mine. I have 3,500 followers now. I'm trying to build
Good
it
for
up and build up my watch hours. So I tell people, watch the thing in entirety. Yeah, because that makes a difference.
Mhm. Don't post it on Facebook. Don't send it.
Oh, I don't use Facebook.
Yeah, but I mean, like people, it's interesting what they think is helping. Like some people even pay for a reach, right? And they're like,
Mhm.
yeah, but look, I got 10,000 views. I'm like, you have 10,000 people that don't care about real estate watching your video.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the point? And that's what everything I've done is 100% organic. I've never paid for anything. And
Let me go there.
it's just like Facebook advertising, meaning that when you pay for Facebook advertising, you could either do a complete spray, just and you throw your ads out there to a bunch of people, or you could pay and pick the people that want to see your ad. And the same thing with YouTube, right? So with the keyword tags and everything, it goes to people that are searching moving to Phoenix, living in Phoenix, what's it like? cost of
Right.
living, pros and cons, whatever. And so YouTube, I'm the #1 ranked channel in Phoenix. But that doesn't mean I have the most views. See, that's it's very interesting. When I taught one YouTube class, they're like, yeah, but this other girl gets like 10,000 views per video, literally within a day. And even I was like, how? So we did some research. She has a lot of people outside of the country and also a lot of realtors that are commenting, and that okay, but you know what?
Yeah.
Is her phone ringing? So
Does it translate? Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So I've pulled her numbers and I do more transactions than her. So I just have to I have to let the ego go. It doesn't matter.
Sounds like you can teach us a lot, Cheryl.
What's that?
Sounds like you can teach us all a lot here.
I could. Like I said, I haven't taught the classes yet. Yeah. So I'm getting there.
You got this.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, please watch my videos in their entirety if you do. I would love to hear from you when you come back to Phoenix. And Quavi, if you'll shoot me an email, I'd be glad to.
I sure will. Yeah.
You on that 50. I'll be 58 on February 8th.
Oh my goodness, that's my brother's
That's
birthday.
soon.
Yes, I've done a lot in my 58 years, and I know I'm a happy girl.
You look fabulous.
Love it.
All right. Well, bye everyone. Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you, everyone.
You guys are my guinea pigs.
You did good. You did good. And
You did
I can't wait to
amazing.
get that information for your class.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Take care,
Take care.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.